And we're live. Hello, powerful souls. Welcome to Wake Up Wednesday Live. I'm Laurie Majka, the host of the Laurie Majka YouTube channel, where we primarily interview people who have had near death experiences, but we also dive into different rabbit holes like out of body experiences and shared death experiences, signs and synchronicities, past life regressions, and anything that helps wake up the collective. So I'm so happy to be here today. I'm happy to be joining you. And as always, I'm going to start off with telling you that if you have questions, I would love for you to post them in the comments and make sure that you're putting your name because people have crazy YouTube names and it doesn't always equate with what your actual name is. So make sure that you're sharing that. This way, I get to know you by your real name. The other people who join get to know you by your name, and I would just love to hear anything that you want to talk about today. I have a couple of subjects that I'm going to cover to start because it always seems like it takes a little bit for the comments to warm up, and I did have a couple of people email me in the last week telling me what they would like to hear and that they wouldn't be able to join the lives, but they'll listen to the replay. So I'll honor that as well. So we always start this segment out with signs and synchronicities because when I started my channel, I started with a few videos called Uncover Your Soul's Purpose. And the reason I posted all these videos was I wanted to help people to wake up to the fact that they were powerful, beautiful souls. And the only way to do that is to change some of the information that you had that might have been stopping you from having a life that you were in love with. And so I started posting videos about you picked it all, what a spirit team is, what soul contracts were. And the most popular of all of the videos that I posted was the ones that I did about signs and synchronicities. And that tracks with a channel that covers NDEs because I think the majority of the people are here because you've experienced a loss in your life at some point in time that really you're trying to process and figure out what happened to the person who I loved. Are they still around me? Would they still communicate with me? What if we were on bad terms? Would they want to still talk to me? And the answer to all of that is yes, of course they would, because on the other side, they now know you better than they ever could have known you when they were here in the physical incarnation. So I had a passed away loved one who died in 2012. His name was Mark. He was the lead guitarist of the band Starship, and he loves to communicate with me through music. He's done crazy things like he used to have a vintage El Camino and maroon El Camino. And right before I was getting ready to leave town, an El Camino exactly like his was broken down on the side of the road. And as I approached it, one of the songs that is significant to the two of us began playing like at the moment I was passing this El Camino. I just can't make these things up. And so I love to share them because I feel like my signs and synchronicities confirm yours confirm mine. And so that's how we start. So I don't have a lot, but I had a couple that happened this week. One that happened today that was pretty fun. So I hike every morning, and usually I hike super early in the morning. And I love this because it's all about the timing. Because normally I would not have been at my car to go hike this late in the morning. But this morning, I had a customer call for my corporate job at 7 a.m. that I had to be on. So I took that call first. And then I was in a hurry to get out of my house and get to my hiking spot so I could get back to my corporate job. And I was listening to XM radio, and I've been in love with the John Mayer radio station. He plays such a fun variety of music. And when I turned the car on, that's what was playing. But Spirit had a different idea because Blaze, my puppy, hit the radio, changed the station to classic rewind at the very moment that the first note of the song Jane by Starship began playing. Like, seriously, took a picture of it. I sent it to a couple of people to let them know what had happened. But, like, what are the chances? So you think about everything that had to happen for a sign like that to line up. And it always floors me that when it happens to me with songs, it's usually from the first note of the song. It's not like I've just hit it in the middle or at the end. It just blows my mind. So that was really, really fun. Another synchronicity that happened that was really cool that I'm going to share because it's a totally different type of a synchronicity. I feel like I get signs from the universe. Let me know who I'm supposed to work with, how I'm supposed to work with them, like just confirmations, okay, if that makes sense. So I have a creators channel that I participate in. There are several of us who have NDE channels like this, and we get together once a month and we just talk about what it's like to be a creator, what our best practices are. And today we had a guy who evaluates the analytics behind the scenes of these YouTube channels. And he did little analysis on all of our channels. And I was so impressed with this guy that as soon as our call ended, I called him. And I was just talking to him, and I just thought it was just really great. And I scheduled an appointment to have a deeper dive talk about my channel because I'm always trying to figure out ways that I can improve my content, improve my engagement, make the thumbnails and the titles better so that people understand what the videos are really about so that they watch them, because ultimately it's the only thing that matters on YouTube is that people watch the content. Well, anyway, as I was talking to the guy, he casually mentioned that he lived in St. George, Utah, which is ironically where I was yesterday visiting a friend of mine. So that was such a strong confirmation for me that this was not a random person. Number one, he came to me through somebody who I know who is another content creator, but it felt so synchronistic. Like, what are the chances? I scheduled this trip back in December for this weekend. I was just there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, came home, got home at like this time last night. And here I am talking to a guy who lives in the same town. Like, think about how many places you could live in the US, how many places somebody could be from. And really, he lived where I visited yesterday. So, again, that's how synchronicities work for me. This is how I get confirmations to know that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And so are you. And if you open your eyes and you look around and you pay attention, you will see the synchronicities that are important to you, that resonate with you, and that give you answers to things that you're working on, to things that you're trying to decide. And it's so helpful to feel like you're getting a wink from the universe to know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So, okay, those are my signs and synchronicities. If you guys want to share yours, I'm open for it. But I'm going to take a look at the comments and see what's going on here. I do have a couple things, like I said, that people sent in that they would love me to talk about, but you guys are here, so you get first dibs. So I'm going to look and see what everybody is saying. So got somebody who said, so JWJ, thank you. You just answered, or we just commented back and forth in the comment section, and you said you were going to join, and I actually wrote down your question, and I'm so glad you're here. So I will start with your question since I see you first in the comments. And JW, what's your name? Let me know in the comments what your name is. So you said that you heard me say when I was talking about my experience on the other side, that as I was coming back into remembering that I was a Laurie experience on this earth and I wasn't everything, that I had that question where I was like, well, what about Earth? Where's Earth? And I could see I don't know if it was like my mind's eye, but it was intuited to me that Earth was very, very far away. Like, if I'm here and I'm looking down and away, it was super, super far away. Like, Earth would be just teeny tiny. And the word that has been given to me, and this has happened multiple times now, is inconsequential. And I want to preface that with saying that this was not my assessment of what this experience is. I do not feel when I'm here that this is inconsequential. Just like everybody else, I have issues that happen in my life. I have people who die. I have experiences that are not necessarily fantastic, but I also have an amazing life that I'm in love with. So, how would anybody think that all of that would be inconsequential? And I think that it's less about your experience being inconsequential and more about the vastness of who we are as souls. So, right now, we're in the Earth, we're in the part one trilogy of my three trilogy movie scenario, which means that we're having a human experience and we're here for the experience and we are an individual soul. Like you're in your siloed soul body with an ego. You feel like you're disconnected from everybody and everything, and it's you. And we have these glimpses of connection when we fall in love with somebody, when we love our pets and our children, and we have friendships and we have resonances with another human being. But largely, we feel like we're doing this on our own and we are here by ourselves. But really, in the scheme of things, we live in a state of being that is eternity. It's not a time constraint, it's a state of being in this magnificent, perfect, ever present moment that doesn't end. It goes out in every direction. And if we think about eternity, none of us in a human body can really understand what an eternity would feel like or seem like from this perspective, because you're here on this earth and maybe you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. Maybe you're getting towards the end of your life in your 80s and 90s, even 100. But you only have this earth experience that you really connect with because we're veiled to have it, right? And so it seems like this is all there is and all there ever was. But the reality is that you have been everybody and everything, that you are everybody and everything, that we're one massive collective coming here to have an earth experience. And so, in that way, in the scheme of all of that experience, which is what 8 billion people on the planet right now, wouldn't it, from that higher perspective with eternity and infinity, seem inconsequential? I mean, I guess if you want to think about it from a human perspective, why don't we think about it like this? Let's say that you're 50 years old. You've lived 50 years on this planet, 50 trips around the sun, 365 days times 50. I can't do the math in my head on that. But that's a lot of days, right? What if I were to tell me what happened to you on April 15th of 1981? Like you're probably not going to be able to tell me, because in the scheme of all of those days, that would be an inconsequential day unless something really, really significant happened. Like that was the day that you got married, that was the day that a child was born, that was a day that a sibling was born, or something significant happened in your life, right? And that's, I think, the way that we can think about this from our soul, higher self, and really source perspective, is that this would be inconsequential. And so it's not to minimize the experience, it's to give it a perspective that maybe you haven't given it before. Because as we are these eternal beings, one day in the life of you, or one lifetime in the multitude of experiences source would have, wouldn't be the primary focus. There would be other things that you would focus upon. So, if you can just understand that your life is unfolding for you perfectly, that it's all happening for you and not to you, if you can remember that you are a powerful soul having a human experience here for the joy of the experience, and I mean every part of that experience, everything that you would label as any kind of a judgment of negative, of positive, of benign, it's all happening for you in a way that you probably can't fully understand until you go to the other side and have a life review and understand what those experiences meant for the collective, or for your soul in this part one trilogy, when you're this individual siloed soul having this experience. So I know that was probably a really long answer to what seems like a short question, and I hope that that helps in some way. I always say, take in what resonates, let go of whatever does not. If you can't get to the point where you would think, oh my gosh, we would give up our siloedness of our soul to be a collective, that we could be one entity, that's okay. You don't have to take in any of those things now. You're all on your individual journey. like check in your heart. What resonates right here? What resonates in your gut? Like what makes sense to you? What feels right? Because sometimes people will bring up a concept that's great for you right now and it fits, but other times it's not for you right now. Maybe you'll come back to it. Maybe you never will. It's all okay. We all have a different, unique perspective. And that's why there is no one person who can say to you that they've got it all figured out. If they do, that's not true. I feel like the more I do this, the more I go on the other side, the less I understand. The best analogy I've ever had to understand this all is my movie trilogy experience, because it's the only way I can make this bigger part of being one thing make sense with all of these 8 billion souls having all these experiences. But anyway, I'm super happy to be here with you guys tonight, and thank you for participating. Okay, I'm going to go back into the comments. Hi, Catherine. So glad you're here. Always so glad you're here. 64 Moon Dreamer, you lost your son at 25 years old. I am so incredibly sorry for your loss. I still cannot imagine what it would be like to lose a child. I have not had that experience. There's a group called Helping Parents Heal that is really, really helpful for a lot of people. And I've interviewed a lot of people who are connected with that organization. And the video that we just did that was released yesterday with what is her name? It's spelled differently. So I'm trying to remember what her name is. If somebody can maybe cheat for me and look, but in the videos, I'm sorry, these things run together so much. I do so many interviews. I do like 5 interviews a week, but I super loved her experience with her son. I remember the details of what she talked about. Hannah. Her name was Hannah, but it's spelled Heene. So Hannah. Anyway, so maybe you can connect with a video like that. Maybe you can check out Helping Parents Heal, where they connect people who have had the similar experiences, and maybe that helps. But I'm sure that pain never ever goes away. So really sorry for your loss. Let's see. Soul Chef. Oh, hello. She's saying hello. Oh, Jay, that's right. You did say that. Thank you. You, JW, or WJ Dad, you did tell me you were Dave. I'm sorry. I forgot. Thank you. Okay, you had a great sign from your son. You went to get a tattoo in honor of your son. And while you were seated in the room and the artist was setting up across the room, there was a little bookcase. And there sat, did they cut you off and not let you put more comments than that? I do not cut anybody off in comments. I want to hear the rest of the story. You ended on a cliffhanger. That's what I do. I love it. Okay, I want to hear the rest. Okay. Oh, land, and there sat a book, and the title was November 9th, your son's birthday. Oh my gosh. I love that. And I love that you shared that so much. Again, it's not like the one thing, right? Like you're there getting a tattoo in honor of your son. That's already one thing. But then to see his exact birth date while you're there, I mean, again, I think that souls on the other side, when they become their higher selves, are so powerful, and they can do so many things that from our perspective would seem like magic, would seem impossible. But to them, I think it's kind of like they did this, and they kind of giggle and laugh at their cleverness of being able to share those things with us. But I love a sign like that so much. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. Oh, Antonia is your name. Thank you. Let's see. Do you have your story on your channel? Okay. Yes. And mine did not have an, hold on, who are you talking to? Are you talking to me? Because you might be talking to Catherine. I mean, there's other people who are on the channel or in the comments who have had, so I did not have an NDE. My experiences have been with 5-MeO DMT. It is the most powerful psychedelic on the planet. And I have had these incredible experiences where I completely leave my body for 20 minutes. And I have had multiple different type, but very similar experiences on the other side. And it's the whole reason I'm doing this channel. Had I not found that medicine, been drawn to that medicine, which I think of as like an Easter egg for me, I know it was something I hid. I had to have somebody come into my life who exposed me to it. And like, I've been drawn to it like nothing else. I wouldn't be here in front of you today if I had not had those experiences, because the download of the 63 videos, Uncover Your Soul's Purpose, was because of a journey I had that was so powerful on the winter solstice of 2020 that caused me to get an outline the next day and caused me to spend 6 weeks, 60 hours in each of those weeks creating these incredible videos to help people's perception to understand how powerful you are. So, yeah, so to get back to your question, there is a playlist that is entitled Interviews with Laurie. I have shared some parts of my experiences on multiple different places. I was on Coast to Coast Radio where I've talked about different experiences. I went on Jeff Mara's show when I was very early into those experiences. I think I'd had maybe 8 when I shared it. I went on Love Covered Life with Mel, and I shared some more experiences that I had. I'd had that winter solstice experience by then. I shared that on her channel. Most recently, I was on Heather Tesch's channel. She's another NDE content creator. You should check her out. She publishes videos once a week, and she's been doing this for 2 or 3 years now. And her content is beautiful, and she's just a lovely person. I love her so much. And I was interviewed by her on her channel like a week and a half ago. So not last Thursday, the Thursday before, where I really talked in quite a bit of detail. I'm also going to be on another channel that's coming out in March, and I always post those interviews. But if you go back and check out my lives, I did on, I think it was the live after my sister was here. So it would have been in, oh my gosh, January. These are just all running together. I think it was the end of January. I did talk in great detail about my experiences on the other side. So yes, you can find, I'm not going to go into great detail about that today, but yeah, you can find my experiences in quite a bit of detail. Let's see. Thank you for asking, by the way. Let's see. Right. This experience on earth is okay. So Dave is saying, right. So this experience on earth is in the collective experience. It could be likened to a trip to an amusement park with the terrors and the joys inclusive. Yes, I've explained it that way a lot because, all right, I'm going to go back to that source, what that source felt like from a knowledge standpoint. This is so hard to explain in words, you guys. I just, the English language just does not have the vocabulary to explain what I'm talking about, but I'll do the best I can to explain the power and the knowledge that emanated from the source creator. When I say knowledge, I don't mean math formulas, the ability to interpret hieroglyphs or petroglyphs or any glyphs or any type of ancient texts. I don't mean understanding psychology in every nuance. I mean knowledge beyond knowledge, as in nothing is hidden from this being. Nothing is not understood on a level that we can't even understand. I mean, I guess if you take the most intelligent person who's ever lived on the planet, the source is like millions of magnitude more intelligent than that being. And so I like to give the card analogy. So if you were going to sit down and play a game of poker as source, as soon as you created the cards, the wisdom and intelligence that you possess would already know every single position those cards were ever going to be in every game it was ever going to play, and in any opponent it would have. It would already know every move, what the outcome was. Like, there's nothing it doesn't know. So when I've become that source and been from that perspective, it's not like I would sit there and ask questions because I'm not in my human ego consciousness. There's nothing to ask. There's nothing it doesn't know and understand. So from the standpoint of people will say, and I've said in the past, you come here to learn, like this is school, we're both student and teacher. In the trilogy one of the Earth experience that I talk about, where I say trilogy one is everything about Earth, you're the siloed soul having the experience. There are lots of things that you don't know because you're veiled to forget that you're everything. And the reason I liken it to an amusement park is because it's not like, unless you're a physicist and you're trying to understand thermodynamics of G force on a roller coaster, you're not going to the amusement park for that. You're going for the joy and the thrill of the experience. It's controlled, just like this is controlled from Source's perspective. It feels pretty random, right, to you? But how many NDEers have talked about having soul contracts, which we're going to get into here in a few minutes because that was a question. But if you're Source and you're going to play a poker game, how could you ever play a poker game? There's nothing that you didn't know as soon as you created the cards. But if you could put on a pretty good erase your memory spell, put on a veil, whatever analogy you want to use to understand that you've forgotten temporary amnesia, to the degree that you think that you're you and I think that I'm me and the tree outside thinks it's the tree, when it's none of those things, it's Source looking out of each of the eyes of those experiences for the joy of the experience. It was understood by me on the place on the other side that this was a simple game that Source comes to play in. And that's maybe the other part of the inconsequential. Now, it seems like a complex game to us, right? There's a lot of things on Earth that are going on that we don't like: wars, famines, just different things that you would say that's unjust and that's terrible. But from the perspective of the Source creation, no soul can ever be harmed. We're whole and perfect on the other side. It's just like you picking up a video game to play a video game. You know that there's all kinds of bad things that happen. You can be in wars and fight people in a video game, and you can be on a quest and look for a treasure and race a car and do all these things. But you don't sit there and think, oh my gosh, well, I might get hurt if that car crashes into the wall. No, because you're not really that. You're you sitting on your couch comfortably with a controller playing a game. And the controller is this: you're receiving the consciousness that allows you to be you, to have the experience, and you picked it all. You chose what you were going to have. Now, I don't think that everything is written in stone. Part of the fun of it is not necessarily knowing how it's going to happen. So think about it from a roller coaster perspective. You go and you stand in line. There's a whole bunch of other people in line. You're not sure which car you're going to get. Are you going to get to sit in the front car and you're going to get to have that experience of being nothing in front of you? Are you going to get jammed in the middle and you can barely see over the person in front of you and it's a totally different experience? Or are you going to be in the back and you're going to be whipped around a little bit? Like, there's nuances to the experience that maybe you enjoy in different ways. And it's really the same thing, I think, from the Source perspective. So I hope these things make sense. Okay, back to the comments. Have you read the poem? Thank you for the hearts, you guys. I love doing this so much. Like this, I was so joyful. I was really looking forward to this conversation with you guys today. I just wish it could be more interactive than just comments. Probably after the summer, I will have some type of a platform where you guys can come on and turn on your camera and ask me real questions, and I can really get to know you and see you. And that would be so much more fun for me. Or who knows, maybe I'm going to have some type of a consciousness conference where I can get together with people in person for real. And I would love that. Okay. Let's see. Have you read the poem from James McCrae, Instructions Before Visiting Earth? No, I have not. Can you do me a favor? Can somebody I suppose I can look it up, but I'd love it if somebody sent that to me. Like, if you want to email it to me at signssurroundyou@gmail. I would love to hear that. I don't think the comments will probably let you put the whole thing in, but if there's not a limiter and you can put it in, feel free to throw that in the comments. I think maybe we would all love to hear that. I think that would be really fun. No, I haven't heard that. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Kelly, for trying to help me out with the name I couldn't remember. Hi, Donna. Oh, I'm always so glad to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your support. Special call out to you. And I mean, so many of you really are with me all the time. Yes, I thought it was deep and moving as well. Okay, let's see. Did anyone catch the video posted yesterday called How Science Finally Proved the Afterlife? 11 fields, 134 fields of research on the channel called Mighty Pursuit. No, I haven't, but you know what? I want to look at that. So, one of the conversations that we had today on our creators channel is that we're kind of freaking out a little bit about AI and what AI is creating right now. So, number one, make sure it's a real channel when you're getting served up some of these things that maybe you haven't seen before. Because did somebody just put money on my channel? Are you serious? Hold on a second. I don't know how these work, but somebody just put money on my channel. Like, thank you. Thank you. Oh, wow. Uncut. Aw, that Dave. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was super, super nice. I super appreciate that. I've only had that happen like a couple of times. I'm sorry. That really, really surprised me. Thank you. Thank you. It was very nice. Okay. So I'm sorry, back to where I was. So check out these channels and just discern a little bit. What we've discovered is that there are channels and they're proliferous. If you're seeing anybody who has an NDE channel producing 3 videos a day, they're probably all fake. And I always say if the NDE has an agenda, it probably wasn't a real NDE. So in my experience of watching, reading, listening to, I don't know, maybe 2,500 of these experiences, maybe 3,000 of them now over all of this time that I've been really studying NDEs. NDEs don't come back saying religion's real and you have to do XYZ in order to get into heaven, or you're not going to be able to go back, or there's a hell. They usually come back completely the opposite, that there is no religion on the other side. All of the religions have pieces of them that are accurate and true and right, but there is no one religion, that God is not judging you. Nobody is judging you. And some of these NDE channels that have come up are very divisive, and they have information that is completely misinformation. So be discerning as AI is going to start descending on our lives in ways that we're not going to be able to understand. Like, I'm in technology. I've been working in technology for a long time. I've been working with AI for quite a while, and I work with it within my company, but it's going to change everything, you guys. And I think it's almost the saddest for our generation. Like, people who are 45 and up, it's going to be super hard on us because we remember a time when technology wasn't there. I'm sure all of you can remember not having a computer, not having a cell phone, not having an answering machine. Like, to be where we are now, it's mind boggling, right? So, anyway, discern, but I will check that out. Thank you for mentioning it. Jeff Mara's show is actually how I found you initially. Really? I did not know that, Catherine. Gosh, I did that show. Listen, when I found Jeff Mara, I love Jeff. Jeff and Mara is his not his last name. His wife's name is Mara. She's Armenian, like Mark was. And they are so lovely. And they've been doing YouTube channels for a long time. He got his start with kids channels. Jeff has had billions and billions of views across all of his YouTube channels. He doesn't need to work. He's doing that because he loves it. And he set out to do a video a day. I don't know how anybody has enough time to do that much content creation, but Jeff is just so wonderful. And when I found his channel, he had like 6,000 subscribers, and I watched every single video on his channel. Like, that's how few videos he had when I found him. And that was, oh gosh, 2018, maybe 2019, because I wasn't on his show super long after I found his channel. But anyway, love Jeff. I just, like, you're not going to hear me saying anything bad about any of the content creators in our niche, because it's just everybody's doing their own thing. There's room for all of us, right? We all do it a little bit differently. And I know from being on Heather's show, I saw so many of you that were like, oh my gosh, I watched both of your shows. As you should, because everybody presents a little bit differently. Everybody has different guests. Like, it's all wonderful. So anyway, okay. Let's see, Donna. I was very impressed with the video and the whole talent. Oops, this jumps up sometimes. I was impressed with Okay, I was impressed with the video, and the whole time I was thinking about how everyone here could really appreciate what and how they are talking about these subjects. So you're responding to Donna. Yes. Okay. Clobell says, "Hi, please consider being interviewed by Sergi on Paradigm Experience Channel. You two would get along great, and his channel has been exploding this year." Okay, I don't know who that is. Yeah, I will reach out. I'll write that down after we're done with this. Thank you. Thank you, Donna, for liking the analogy. Catherine says, "I sure picked up a life chock full of experiences. LOL. It does make it easier to deal with things like pain and shortened suffering when you can lie back and try to observe it as an experience." I totally agree. Um, this is not an AI, it's a man, a real man. Okay, thank you. I'm so glad that it's not. I'm pretty appreciative of the AI videos. About 90% of them are all I promise you this is okay. Okay, got it. And Catherine says she remembers not having a family computer. Yeah, seriously. I remember buying my first Gateway computer in 1996. And I remember being in high school and having like a list of all these things you had to do to turn the computer on. Like it's crazy where it's gone. Yes. So funny you mentioned it tonight. Oh, you drew. Oh, yeah, right. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so in the email that I got earlier, since there's nobody who's saying something about a spiritual topic that they want me to talk about, I did have on the list that Patrick emailed me. He said he might be able to join, but if not, he would watch this in the non-live version. And he wanted me to elaborate about soul contracts. And there are a lot of ways that I could go in the soul contracts because I feel like we have multiple contracts in multiple ways. So I guess I'll start with the soul contract that we make that is more of what I will call a blueprint of what your experience is going to be like. And in order to create a soul contract, which means that you want to have like, I want this experience and this one, and I'll take this one. Like I kind of imagine we've got like a little shopping cart and we're going through and we're zooming through. And I'm like, I'm going to take that and I'm going to have this pain and I'm going to get a divorce and I think I'm going to have a miscarriage. And somebody's like, whoa, maybe you should put a couple of those things back on the shelf, right? But I do feel like from the vantage point of the higher self, when we're deciding to have a human incarnation, it feels a little bit like that because it's kind of like childbirth. If you've had a lifetime here on earth before, you probably forgot the exact pain that you're going to go through having that childbirth experience, right? And so you have a kid again, you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot it was going to be this painful. I forgot it was this. Maybe I wish now I hadn't have done that. So I think it's kind of like that when we're choosing what to have on our soul contract. But in order to have certain experiences, you have to set up the game. You have to tee up the game, right? So just like in a video game where you pick your avatar, it's only by picking a very specific avatar that you could have a certain experience. And so we pick everything. We choose exactly, precisely how the stars are going to be aligned when we are born because all of those planets influence who you are, how you are, what your personality is like, some of the small traits, some of the bigger traits, right? And so you have to pick all of those things. You decide where on the planet you're going to be born. You decide who your parents are going to be. And some of you will choose parents where your parents are going to give you away and you're going to be adopted by other parents. And some of you are going to pick a parent that can't be fully present and maybe an aunt or a grandparent has to raise you. But it is the parental influence that probably has the biggest determination of whether we're going to achieve certain experiences or reach certain milestones in order to get to an experience because we have to have the conditions just right to be able to have an experience. The type of body you have has to be just right to have a certain experience. Like for me, I love to hike. I'm an avid hiker. I hike every single day, and I have legs that are not super long, super tall, but they're really muscular and they're strong. I've never liked the way my legs looked, but I love the way my legs function because I'm pretty strong climbing these mountains. And it's that experience that gives me the nature fix that I need to have every day. So I had to have an experience where I had a certain type of body if I was going to have that type of a nature experience. And that was going to keep me grounded and allow me to be able to create the content or have the job that I have, because I have to somehow clear my mind and be in a space to be able to process things. And so that's how I did it. Maybe for somebody else, you've got something totally different. Maybe you had some abilities that kept you from hiking, but allowed you to be an amazing gardener where you could sit there for hours and garden, and maybe that becomes your nature time. So we pick what our body is going to look like because it aids us in having these different experiences. So that's one type of contract. And I don't think anything is set in stone. I really believe that we travel astrally at night when we sleep, and we go back and forth and we converse with our spirit guides, our soul groups, our ascended masters who have helped us design the program that we wanted to experience while we're here. So that's one type of contract. But then we have contracts with every single person you will ever encounter in your lifetime. And I'm talking about the person that you give your change to at the toll booth, the cashier at the convenience store, the person who stands across from you while you're pumping your gas. Like these seem like NCP, am I saying it right? Non-character players, is it NCP players, right? Like in a video game where they don't really have a role because they're just background. And maybe they are, and maybe there's a percentage of people on this planet that really are that. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But you have a contract with every single person that you'll ever encounter, because just by smiling, frowning, flipping somebody off, ignoring them, giving them attention, you have the ability to influence their day, a ripple effect, their what they do next, how they approach their day. So that's the interconnectedness that you have with every single soul on the planet. And then you have closer and deeper soul contracts. I did a video about this. I did several videos. I did an entire chapter in my Uncover Your Soul's Purpose about this. I actually found the largest cottonwood tree in Arizona, which is in Sedona, in a state park. And I went there and I sat on that tree, and I used that tree to help explain exactly what I mean about soul mate contracts. And when I say soulmate, I do not mean the Jerry Maguire one that completes you. I mean all of the people that you encounter are soulmates on some level, good, bad, indifferent, because they all influence your life. They're all a contract. So I think before we come here, we have this massive web that seems like it would be so hard to plan from this human perspective, because everything is interconnected and interwoven. And we have this massive experience. And the reason I used a tree to illustrate this was because this is an idea that was part of that download. This isn't from me. This is from a higher place where they gave me a way to illustrate this that makes a lot of sense. If you think about it, I feel like the trunk of the tree is source. It's all of it, right? It's all of the tree, but it's the main support of the tree. Underneath, you have all the roots that are holding it all up. These are all of the contracts we have with all of the souls on the other side who are supporting us: angels, archangels, ascended masters like Jesus, spirit guides, other souls that are on your vibration that are part of a little tiny soul collection that you've been with through eons of experiences. And then here in the physical would be the branches of the tree. So if you look at it like a big cottonwood tree, it has the trunk and then it has maybe like 3 or 4 massive branches, right? And so those you could look at as soul connections that you would have, like maybe each one of those would stand for something, like maybe one of those massive big branches would be like you're living in the United States, having United States experience, and another branch is like another country or another continent, right? North America or something. Or maybe you could look at it as like you went to work for a massive company, like I went to work for IBM. And so that massive big branch could represent a soul contract with all these 24,000 employees that all work for the same company. We had a similar resonance, so we all went there. Okay, but then as those big, massive branches branch off into medium or fair, like semi large branches, they all have a role. And then you get to smaller and smaller and smaller branches until you get it to a little teeny tiny branch that has just like maybe 5 leaves, right? And so maybe those 5 leaves are your 5 closest soulmates, the ones that are going to influence you most in this lifetime. They might not all be good soulmates. They might be like the evil stepmother that made your life miserable, but because of that experience caused you to grow in a certain way. Or it might be a sibling, or it might be a mentor who came into your life for a reason, a season, or something. So a tree is such a great analogy to look at it. So if you've got one single branch with all these leaves and these are your closest soulmates, then you have another branch that's really close to that one with a whole bunch of other leaves. Maybe these are some family members or some people, co-workers. Maybe there's some people that you went to elementary school or high school with. So you're still connected, but they're not necessarily the closest soulmates. They influence your life in some way, but they didn't have as big as of an influence as maybe like a parent on that closest soulmate branch, or somebody who came into your life later as a romantic partner to teach you something and leave. So in this way, I think it's a lot easier to understand these soul connections. But we have, I believe, contracts with them, but you always have free will. So you always have the ability to change your mind. But I do think you have very specific things that you wanted to experience. So maybe you decided you were going to be a mother and you've contracted with children who are going to come into your life and you're going to birth them into existence. And in order for them to do that, they had to pick both of their parents. So that means that you've got to meet the father at some point in time, whether it's the person that you stay married to for your entire life or for a short amount of time or a one night stand. It doesn't matter, but it's all a soul connection and contract. And even if you never went anywhere, if you stayed in your yard, in one place, in one town, in one house, that person would walk by and you would meet them because it's a destiny point for you. Much like an exit point can be a destiny point. So, for the people who are listening to this right now who have experienced a loss of a sibling, a parent, a child, a spouse, we all choose exit points. I think we can have many of them. I think sometimes people move their exit points up if they've experienced enough of what they came here to experience. And so you never need to torture yourself about anything around a death that you could have, should have, or would have done because it was never your choice. And I think that this is the most prevalent when somebody has taken their life and the person laments over, I should have been there more. I should have recognized the signs. If I had gone in their room and had this conversation, they would still be here. Maybe, but then they would have maybe been hit by a train the next day or been in a car accident a month later. When somebody has an exit point, they leave. They don't come back. It's been demonstrated over and over again. If it's not somebody's time, they have a near-death experience and they come back, or they die and they come back and they don't necessarily remember a near-death experience. But nobody dies before their time. Hundreds and hundreds of people have said, thousands of people have said this over and over again. You're a powerful soul with a contract. And to the ones that are left behind, we suffer from these losses because we're left without that person in our life anymore. And it sucks. it sucks a lot. Like it's tragic when it happens. But to the person who left, they have a life review and now they've experienced you from your perspective. Every interaction they had with you, they not only experienced it again from their perspective, but experienced it from yours. And so, in doing that, they now know you better than anybody else on this planet knows you. And they're with you. And to them, it feels like they saw you yesterday and they're going to see you tomorrow. Because I don't want to say that time doesn't exist on the other side. I think that that is not a correct statement. Time isn't the same. It's just a different perspective on the other side. So it's not that it doesn't exist, it's just a different perspective. It's not an earth experience where we're a linear time going like this. They're having a time like this, but when we say everything is happening at once, I don't know that it means everything is happening at once the way that we would think of what everything happening at once means. So when we've had a loss from a loved one, there's nothing that they don't already know. There's nothing that's been unsaid. They hear every thought. They hear every, they feel every emotion, and they're always with you and they guide you. They talk to you. They send you signs and they're still around. They know about everything that's going on in your life. And if you can get to the point like Hannah said, where the loss of her son was not only the most tragic, the worst thing that she had ever experienced, but in some ways brought her a different kind of joy on a level that she thought she would never experience again. If we can get to that point, then we end our suffering because suffering is just how we process anything that's happened to us. And that's a choice. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be devastated, but it's not okay to suffer forever. And nobody on the other side would ever want that for anybody. They want us to go on and live our lives. It took a lot for us to plan this. We knew before we contracted with somebody that they were going to leave. And I think that that's why sometimes this seeps through and people will say, I knew that something was going to happen. You can read books all the time about the people who died in 9/11. A lot of times they spoke about having premonitions or dreams. They knew something was going to happen and they were almost preparing themselves because they felt it coming and they said something to somebody around them. Just like people who had a flat tire and couldn't go to work that day, like it wasn't their time. So there's so much about this life experience that we don't fully grasp and understand. And that's why I have this channel, because I want to help each and every one of you get to the place where you are in love with your life, where you understand that this life is unfolding for you, that you designed it, that your thoughts are so powerful and that you don't have to suffer, that you are a powerful soul and you can have a life that you're in love with, and that you can change things and make them better. You can heal things. It may not be instantaneous, but you're that powerful. This is why there's a placebo effect in medicine, because pharmaceutical companies have to get a statistical significance over the placebo in order to be able to sell a drug that would cure somebody of something or stop pain or whatever it's being prescribed for, because we're so powerful in our minds that we can take something and make it a reality for ourselves. So never forget how powerful you are and how beautiful you are. On the other side, you are in a state of being, of love. And when you come here, you get to experience love in a different way. And that is so beautiful. And if you don't have a partner in your life right now, you still have all kinds of other things that you can love. You can love chocolate. You can love a pet. You can love spending time in nature. You can love feeling the sun on your face. You have so many blessings. You just have to look around and recognize them. So, okay, I'm going to go back to the comments. Let's see. Where was I? Oh, Tammy, thank you so much. Let's see, how far back was I? I love you guys in the comments. I just this is so wonderful, you guys. All right, so let's see here. I agree with what you're saying with soul contracts are intense, and any person we affect, even the unborn. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, Donna, that was explained so well. That's a great way to explain life contracts. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you appreciated this. You hated to miss your life because of your book club. No, these I love that you participated in the live, but you can always go back and watch these again. Um, Dave said one of the most intriguing statements made by one of your guests. The disconnection was unbearable and described trying multiple times. Oh, you're talking about Christian Sundberg. I would recognize that anywhere. All right. I'm going to talk about this for a minute because I have often said, and I have heard it said by several NDEers, that we are the daredevil souls that choose to come to this planet and have a human incarnation. And the reason that I think that that is true is because we can go and have other experiences in other realms, in other dimensions, in other solar systems, in other universes, in just other frequencies that are very different than this one. And in this one, we have to put on a dampener to forget that we are this love and this powerful soul on the other side. And Christian Sundberg remembers his pre-birth experiences. And what he experienced was he was in the cosmos and he saw another soul that had a quality about it that was so beautiful that he had never seen in another soul before. And he was just in awe and said, wow, what in the world did you do to become this? How did you become this? And the soul he was having this conversation with laughed and said, I had a physical incarnation. And he's like, a physical incarnation? What does that mean? And he explained it a little bit. And he said, Christian said, I want to do that. And he's like, okay, well, go talk to your guides. Yeah, that's what they all say. And so Christian said that he remembers sitting with his guides, sitting with a council, going through and creating an experience. And in order to have the refinement that the soul he encountered had had, he would need to experience an illness that would almost kill him. So he found the perfect body, he found the perfect parents, and all of the situations that would set him up to, at some point in his life, have an experience of severe pain in an illness that would allow him to have this refinement he was desiring for his soul. And he practiced going into the lower vibration of becoming an earthly being, because on the other side, we're a high frequency vibrating soul that is infinite and not crammed into a small human body. And so he practiced putting on what he called the veil of forgetfulness. He kind of described it as like a little machine, almost like, it reminds me when he talked about it of what you would see a pilot go into to pretend to fly a plane and have a simulation of flying an aircraft. It was similar to that. And he would put on this veil of forgetfulness and have an experience. And when he did it a few times, he was like, okay, I'm ready. And then one day his soul team came to him and said, now it's time. You got to go. You got to go right now. And he jumps into the womb of the mother. And I don't know like how early he is in the pregnancy. I don't know for sure when souls come in. I've heard lots of different things about this. Sometimes the souls don't come in until the exact birth process. So, it makes you look at people who choose to end a pregnancy a little bit differently, because is the soul really there or not? Is it, and what else has been communicated is that anybody who chooses to put a soul into a pregnancy that's going to be ended, they knew in advance that that's what they were going to experience. That's what they wanted to experience. They contracted for that experience. So again, when you start to have these perspectives, you have to start letting go of judgment around some of these things. But anyway, so Christian jumps into the womb of the mother and he's in this perfect body. He said that was like, if you would give a design a percentage of of perfectness for what you wanted to experience, this body, this design, this contract he created was like 90% there. It was really good. But as he turned down the frequency lower and lower and lower, lower and lower and lower, he got to the point where he couldn't handle it. And he physically tried to abort the pregnancy and end the life experience, and he succeeded. And he immediately went into a life review, as short as that life was, and he became his mother. And he saw that he now heaped on a lot of difficulty for a lot of people that he had contracted with, because he made the free will choice to end his game because of the difficultness of what he felt in that birthing experience when he lowered the vibration to come to earth. I mean, if that story doesn't resonate with like how difficult, how heroic you are for taking on an earth experience, like, my gosh, I don't know what's more difficult than feeling separated from everything that you're connected to, from feeling like you're completely alone, that you're navigating your life by yourself, that you don't have help, to on the other side, being so interconnected that you feel one with everything, every experience, everyone, because that's the reality of it. And then Christian, of course, was successful the next time, but he almost bested that second experience too. And he said God intervened and came in, took him out of the womb as his soul, and said, "You are never not this. I will always be with you, because you're pure love." And then he went back in and had his human experience. And he really and truly did almost die in Asia when he was having, he was overseas and had this horrible, horrible illness, and it changed him. And, and then his memories came back from his pre-birth experience. But it's just so many valuable lessons in what these people share in these experiences. And everybody gives you like another little gold nugget, right? Like another piece of the puzzle to help understand a little bit more about what you're doing, who you are, why you're here, why it's important for you to be here, and how integral you are to another's experience. You really are. Even a smile can change how somebody goes about the rest of their day. A kind word, a helpful gesture, just little teeny tiny things. And I think it's worth saying, I'm going to say it again. I've talked about this before. This experience has always just touched me so much. There was an NDE that this guy had, and he was reviewing his life. He was having a life review, and he was shown this scene when he and his family were at a rest stop. Must have been a long time ago, because apparently they didn't have running water. And he and his sister took a bucket, and they had to go to this little stream and get some water, and he had to walk back, and the bucket was really full. And he said, he's a little kid. He's like 8 years old or 9 years old or 7 or whatever he was. And he's walking back, and the bucket's too full. And he has a long walk back, and he needed to dump some of the water out. But instead of just dumping it out on the ground, he looked around and noticed a little sapling and decided to go out of his way to pour the water on that sapling, because he felt like that sapling could use the extra water. And then he went back. Do you think he probably ever thought about that experience ever again in his life? No, he didn't. But in his life review, that one kind gesture to the tree was revered by everybody who was watching his life review with him, including himself. Not in a judgment kind of way, but in a we do things that help the collective. We do these things out of like this place of unselfishness. I don't think it's possible for humans to fully achieve unconditional love. I think we always have a condition. I think the closest we get to experiencing unconditional love is with our pets. But an act like that from a really young child was pretty darn close to unconditional love, right? And so those things are revered by us on the other side when we remember that we did them. So everything counts. Okay, let's see. Thank you again, Tammy and Dave, for your financial support. That's really super generous. I appreciate it. Um, let's see. Isn't that the best? You can have an actual thought in your head and your twin knows it. Oh, yes. Catherine's talking about her experience with her twin. It was amazing. If you haven't watched Catherine's experience, it's on my channel. But I think if you put Catherine and I think if you put twin in the search, you can find it. So HUY said, I've lost many friends to unfortunate situations. And I think on the other side, maybe they think of the interactions I had with them. Of course. And I still remember them before they were gone. Yeah, of course. Not only do they think of the interactions they had with you, but they experienced it again with you from their perspective and then from your perspective. They know it. They know about our experiences in ways that we never get to understand when we're here. Paul, you said, I enjoy watching your podcast. I've been studying near death experiences for years now. They give me hope. I love that you said that. I feel like when I first found the NDE videos, I would watch them just to raise my vibration, just because it would just make me feel so good to be connected with somebody who had been on the other side, which is just beautiful. So thank you. Yeah, you know the story about Christian Sundberg. So good. And I've met Christian personally a couple of times. Oh, he's such a nice guy. His family's beautiful. Just such a good person. Okay, they helped him incarnate because he couldn't handle being inside the baby body. Yep, exactly. They did. Have you interviewed Matthias DeStefano? I would love to interview Matthias. So I've met Matthias in person. I met him in Egypt last year. I got to participate in a very special meditation that he did where he was doing light language for all of us in the room, and it was magical. Matthias is amazing. He has a mission. Matthias remembers multiple lifetimes. Um, he isn't doing any interviews right now, to my knowledge. I know that he was instructed with putting certain keys around the world to raise the vibrational frequency of different places on the earth in these grids. And I think he's still working on some of that and doing some of the special missions that he came here to do, that he has memories of why he came into this incarnation. But I do have a connection to him through Robert Edward Grant, whose trip I was on when I was in Egypt, and how I met Matthias. But I would love to interview him. He has a very, very unique perspective. So I'm going to recommend a video if you want to watch it. He did some stuff on Gaia TV, but you have to pay to have a Gaia subscription. So there is a content creator who has an NDE channel also called Wisdom from North. She lives in Norway, and she did an interview, I want to say like 9 years ago, or maybe 7, but it was a while ago, with Matthias. And check that interview out because it was super interesting, and he goes through a lot of the detail about how he came to remember, his past lives and what he was doing here. He could read different languages and remembers different names for what things were called, like in Atlantis and all these different times throughout civilization in the history of the earth. So it's pretty spectacular. So and I really like Annika. So and I will special you know what, if let me know in the comments if you guys watch Annika's channel, Wisdom from North. I'm interviewing her this week. She's going to be on my channel, so I'm super excited to talk to her. So let's see. Can you please give us the name of the man who said the disconnect was unbearable? I like to watch it. Okay, Christian Sundberg. If you look on my channel, I've done 2 interviews with Christian, but I have 3 videos. The first video that I did with him was very early on in my channel, where we did a long interview. The second interview was a re-release where I took his longer interview and made it a little bit shorter, where it was more of him just telling his story. And then the third interview, and I'm going to say this because I was so happy that he said this and posted this. Christian and I had a super, super deep, what I'm going to call a collaborative conversation. by the time we had this conversation, we had met at Ions and been together and spent some time in person. And I wanted him to come back on the show because I had read his book, and we went down many deep rabbit holes. And when we got done, Christian posted on his Facebook that our interview was the deepest and best interview he felt he had ever done. So I feel super proud of that because I really pride myself on trying to ask the deeper questions, the rabbit hole questions, the questions that maybe not everybody else thinks of, because I have a little bit of a different perspective of where I'm coming from. And that's really what I try and do with all of my NDEs. I try and think of these deep questions that people really want to know, to find this deeper knowledge that they've integrated over the years and years of having to integrate an NDE or an out of body experience, or, the telepathic communication or whatever it is. Because if I can pull that out of somebody, then you guys get the benefit of learning something, implementing something, that maybe understanding something in a way that didn't ever make sense before. And that's really the purpose of my channel and what I try to do that's different than other NDE channels. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, you'll be there for the interview. Okay. Wow. Let's see. What time is it? Oh my gosh. My alarm did not go off. I usually set my alarm to do this for about an hour. I don't want to keep everybody all night long. It's 1 hour, 11 minutes and 50 seconds when I looked at the clock. So I think it's time to go. And I'm going to end it on that. So I want to remind you again that you are a beautiful, powerful, amazing soul who is nothing but love on the other side, who is never alone, who is always loved and cherished. And you are part of the larger collective, and you are one. You are just one having an experience that feels like it's only you, but it's really not. So I want to thank each and every one of you who is watching this right now live, who's watching this in the future. Thank you for what you are doing to help wake up the collective. It is so needed right now. And it is through these conversations that we all have the ability to help others wake up. And that is, I think, probably the biggest purpose of the game. So thank you, everybody, for your support, for your love, and for watching. Thank you. Good night.